So in this segment, we're going to be discussing a Tory minister, or Tory MP, calling out, a journalist calling out Tory MP over inflation, saying you guys haven't actually done anything to control inflation, and him really struggling for answers, and then ends up talking about Labour.
Interesting you talk about it being a priority. The Prime Minister sometimes refers to his plan, but inflation hasn't come down as a result of government action. It's come down because world oil prices have come down. It's come down because global food prices are rising less fast. Can you name one aspect of the plan that has contributed to inflation coming down today?
Well, I certainly think if I was deciding as Chief Secretary with the Chancellor and the Prime Minister to borrow a lot more money or to spend a lot more money, it would have an effect on inflation.
And let's not forget, it's not just people advocating for the government to spend more or borrow more. It's people advocating for the government to actually tax these companies that are making ridiculous profits and redistribute that money, which, would that have an inflationary effect when the money's already in the economy? I'm not so sure. Especially given that the Bank of England is run by a clown who doesn't understand economics at all, by the looks of it. The man was a Brexiteer after all. So point being is, that's what I've asked. This is what I want the government to do, is to do windfall taxes on the supermarkets, on the energy companies and the banks, and redistribute that money to help people through this crisis. We saw that through COVID. The government borrowed extraordinary amounts of money in order to help people. Surely we should be doing that now. We should be looking at trying to help people as best we can get through this crisis. It genuinely doesn't make sense, especially when the government helped to create these problems in the first place. This Ivan Drago mentality of if he dies, it's just tragic.
Done. Can you identify a single thing that you as government have done that have contributed to today's fall in inflation?
Nick,
great question.
I can tell you, to hold to the budgets that we set out at the spending review in an inflationary environment when there are massive calls to spend money all the time.
So effectively what he's saying is, because we did nothing, we should be praised for doing nothing and sticking to our budgets that were massively ineffective, because they were made before we saw these consistent inflationary spikes and this stubborn inflation that we are seeing now. Because we're not seeing inflation come down, not really. The rates have come down slightly, but not by much. It's very stagnant, especially compared to the Eurozone, depending on which countries you look at, and also especially depending if you look at the other G7 members as well. So this argument of, well, we should be praised for doing nothing is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life.
Is an active choice, and having a grip on public spending, and despite massive pressures to increase spending, which we have week in, week out, and indeed His Majesty's loyal opposition are going to spend a lot more, are going to borrow a lot more, although they don't like to face up to that. Those are choices that I have made and the government has made to ensure that we keep this inflation target on track.
Hang on, you said you would half inflation. Inflation's not halving. Inflation was at 12% at one point, and if it comes down to about 6% towards the end of the year, the increases I'm talking about, which still aren't great, are you going to say we halved inflation at that point? I genuinely do not get it. This argument of we've stayed the course and done the right thing. The leeches have drained as much blood as possible from the patient, and now the patient is looking a lot better, even though they're dead. Genuinely, our economy is struggling so badly right now. Austerity is not the answer. Austerity is never the answer, unless you're an individual who has very stupid spending habits. Then sure, you can argue that that person needs to be more austere. But for an economy, for a country, austerity does not work. It's how you curtail growth. That's how you do other stupid things. Look at the state this country is in under 12 years of Tory austerity. Nuts. Honestly, just it's crazy.
It's a choice, but forgive me pushing on this, but it's nothing to do with the rate of inflation, is it, at the moment? Inflation has not fallen this month because of anything you can identify that Rishi Sunak or you at the Treasury, along with the Chancellor, have done, has it?
Well, I think active management of public finances is a core function of...
Just stupid. I should be praised for doing nothing and sticking to budgets and spending promises that were made way before we anticipate we would have all of these problems. Just genuine madness. And we should trust a party who's been called out by their own people. This clip here.
Economy. When we both worked in the Treasury, myself and other ministers raised the issue of COVID loan fraud, and you dismissed us, and it has cost taxpayers £17 billion.
Sure, could use that now, Rishi, couldn't we?
Why didn't you take us seriously?
Well, that's absolutely not right. Being new powers, and actually at this point, but it's important.
Do you love some blue-on-blue violence?
One of your former ministers resigned on this issue. He is supporting my campaign, not yours. Why is that?
It goes to show you that the money was there, 17 billion wasted on fraud. Which other countries had to deal with that? And just the final. I tried to find this in video form. I struggled to listen to Sunak talk for that long, and combined with Robert Peston as well. But Sunak saying, "quote I'm hurting myself to help you." End quote. How are you hurting, bruv? You're rich. You're a billionaire. Your wife, or should I say, your wife is a billionaire. How are you hurting? Maybe in the polls you're hurting. But you clearly don't understand economics, because what you're doing is putting this country in a much tighter squeeze than you have to, through your bad policies. Other countries have done windfall taxes. I believe the EU have done a windfall tax on energy companies. Why couldn't we do a windfall tax, a proper windfall tax on energy companies, on banks, on supermarkets? It's not hard. Genuinely not hard. Is it because some of the Tory MPs are looking at getting jobs for some of these companies, and maybe that's why you don't want to be too hard on them? I don't know. Genuinely, I don't know. But this is just incredibly frustrating for this guy to now play victim. I'm shocked. He's playing victim now. I'm hurting myself to help you. You're not hurting. You're not hurting yourself, bruv. You're hurting the economy. You're damaging the British public through your stupid policies. Just leave, bruv. Honestly, just go retire. I don't understand. Like if I was rich like this, you would never hear from me. Honestly, I would probably retire somewhere nice and warm. Just go to California, bruv. Honestly, why this man is still here, I don't know. Just get out. You're done. Your legacy's done. You're the first minority prime minister. Congratulations. But you're clearly not up for the job, and you're not doing your job properly at all. He might be. The saddest thing is he's the best out of the last three prime ministers we've had, which is just tragic. But honestly, you got to be careful what you wish for. I'd rather have Dave back. I'd bring big Theresa May, fam, Dancing Queen back, because this guy is just awful, absolutely awful. And when if you guys lose the election, I'll be elated. But for him to now play victim is one of the it's just one of the most painful things ever. I can take them being snarky and frustrating, right? But to play victim, oh my god, I just had enough of people doing that this week. Just to further add to my pain, this is the video that hurt me the most from the current inflation cycle. Me personally, as an obese man, this video hurt my soul.
This area was originally, about 2 months ago, all a pound zone. So every single bag was a pound.
These are bags that have gotten smaller as well. There's less grams in these. I'm 100% sure of it.
But then they all went up to like 125, and then now we've seen a further increase for newer stock, which is 135.
And is it
so? My friend worked at a corner shop, and so he explained to me, you get different kinds of goods. You get fixed price goods, and you get non-fixed price goods. So the reason why you'd buy fixed price goods is because genuinely you can buy them cheaper, but you obviously can't sell them for above the fixed price. You can sell them for less, and so the shop can sell it for less, but they're still buying it at kind of a certain price. So it'd probably be difficult for them in terms of margin to make any decent profit if he said, it's fixed price at 135, but we're going to sell it for 125, for example. And obviously it means people have to cut back. I've cut back on the amount of chocolate and stuff I buy, which is making me miserable, to be honest. But it's one I have to do for my health and my wallet, so it's a double win really when you think about it. But it does go to show you that you're just seeing more it's kind of inflation. And Faisal Islam here asked a funny question. Well, it's not funny, but it's kind of funny in this context, and the guy's reaction is no.
Is it going to go back to a pound?
No, 135.
And is it going to go back to a pound?
No, it's definitely not going to go to a pound. I think this is going to be the new price point.
So that's the price point that the manufacturer is recommending it's being sold at. So obviously he can sell it for less, but that's down to him. But that's how much the manufacturer wants it to be sold for and recommends it to be sold for, £1.35. So it's gone from £1 to £1.35, and I don't know what his timescale is. Probably this year, to be honest. But a 35% increase in the space of a year is just mental, absolutely mental. Don't get me started on the Pringles prices either. That's another meltdown. But anyways, I'm gonna leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.